Look Back in Anger by John Osborne, with Nicholas Gex as Jimmy Porter, Alan Lewis as Cliff Lewis, Susan Penhaligon as Alison Porter, Suzanne Burtish as Helena Charles, and Cyril Luckham as Colonel Redfern. The Porters' one-room attic flat in a large Midland town. Early evening, April 1956.
Why do I do this every Sunday? Even the book reviews seem to be the same as last week's. Different books, same reviews. You finished that one yet?
Not yet.
I've just read 3 whole columns on the English novel. Half of it's in French. The Sunday papers make you feel ignorant.
Not at all.
Yeah, well, you are ignorant. You're just a peasant. What about you? You're not a peasant, are you?
What's that?
I said, do the papers make you feel you're not so brilliant after all?
Oh, I haven't read them yet.
I didn't ask you that. I said...
Leave the poor girlie alone. She's busy.
Well, she can talk, can't she? You can talk, can't you? Can express an opinion? Or does the white woman's burden make it impossible to think?
I'm sorry. I just wasn't listening properly.
I bet you weren't listening. Oh, Porter talks, everyone turns over and goes to sleep. And Mrs. Porter gets them all going with the first yawn.
Leave her alone, I said.
All right, dear, go back to sleep. It's only me talking, talking, remember? Sorry.
Stop yelling. I'm trying to read.
Oh, why do you bother? You can't understand a word of it.
Mm-hmm.
Too ignorant.
Yes, and uneducated. Now, shut up, will you?
Why don't you get my wife to explain it to you? She's educated. That's right, isn't it?
Leave her alone, I said.
I'm getting hungry.
Oh, no, not already.
He's a bloody pig.
Not a pig, just like food, that's all.
I don't see any use in your eating at all. You never get any fatter.
Now, people like me don't get fat. We just burn everything up. Make me some more tea.
Good God, you just had a great potful. I only had 1 cup.
Like hell, make some more.
Isn't that right? Didn't I only have 1 cup?
That's right.
There you are. And she only had 1 cup too. I saw her. You guzzled the lot.
Put the kettle on.
Put it on yourself.
Ah! Girlie wants to know whether her boyfriend will lose all respect for her if she gives him what he asks for. Stupid bitch.
Just let me get out of that's all.
Who buys this damn thing? Haven't you read the other posh paper yet?
Which?
Well, there are only 2 posh papers on a Sunday. The one you're reading and this one. Come on, let me have that one. You take this.
All right. I was only reading the Bishop of Bromley. Hey, darling. Why don't you leave all that and sit down for a bit? You look tired.
I haven't much more to do.
She's a beautiful girl, isn't she?
That's what they all tell me. What's the Bishop of Bromley say?
Oh, he makes a very moving appeal to all Christians to do all they can to assist in the manufacture of the H-bomb.
Yes, well, that's quite moving, I suppose. Ah, yes. He's upset because someone has suggested that he supports the rich against the poor. He says he denies the difference of class distinctions. This idea has been persistently and wickedly fostered by the working classes. Whoa! Don't suppose your father could have written it, do you?
Why should my father have written it?
That sounds rather like Daddy, don't you think?
Does it?
Is the Bishop of Bromley his nom de plume, do you think?
Don't take any notice of him. He's being offensive. And it's so easy for him.
How much longer will you be doing that ironing?
Won't be long.
Oh, God. How hate Sundays. It's always so depressing, always the same. We never seem to get any further, do we? Always the same ritual, reading the papers, drinking tea, ironing. A few more hours and another week gone. Our youth is slipping away, do you know that?
What's that?
No, nothing. Damn you. Damn both of you. Damn them all.
Let's go to the pictures. What do you say, lovely?
I don't think I'll be able to. Perhaps Jimmy would like to. Would you like to?
And have my enjoyment ruined by the Sunday night yobs in the front row. No, thank you. Did you read Priestley's piece this week? No, why on earth I ask, I don't know. No damn well you haven't. Why do I spend ninepence on that damn paper every week? Nobody reads it except me. Nobody can be bothered. No one can raise themselves out of their delicious sloth. You two will drive me round the bend soon. I know it. Sure as I'm sitting here, I know you're going to drive me mad. Heavens! How I long for a little ordinary human enthusiasm. Just enthusiasm, that's all. I want to hear a warm, thrilling voice cry out, "Hallelujah! Hallelujah! I'm alive!"
What did he say?
What did who say?
Mr. Priestley.
Know what he always says, I suppose? He's like Daddy, still casting well-fed glances back to the Edwardian twilight from his comfortable disenfranchised wilderness. What the devil have you done to those trousers?
Done?
Were they the ones you bought last weekend? But look at them. Do you see what he's done to his new trousers?
You are naughty, Cliff. They look dreadful.
You spend good money on a new pair of trousers and then sprawl about in them like a savage. What do you think you're going to do when I'm not around to look after you?
I don't know. What am I going to do, lovely?
Better take them off.
Yeah, go on, take them off, and I'll kick your behind for you.
I'll give them a press while I've got the iron on.
Okay. Oh, just empty the pockets.
Now give me those matches, will you?
Oh, you're not going to start up that old pipe again, are you? It stinks the place out. Doesn't it smell awful? Oh.
I don't mind it. I've got used to it.
Oh, she's a great one for getting used to things. If she were to die and wake up in paradise, after the first 5 minutes, she'd have got used to it.
Thank you, lovely. Hey, give me a cigarette, will you?
Thought the doctor said no cigarettes.
Oh, why didn't he shut up?
Well, no, all right. They're your ulcers. Go ahead, have a bellyache if that's what you want. You know, I give up. I'm sick of doing things for people, and all for what? Nobody thinks. Nobody cares. No beliefs. No convictions. And no enthusiasm. Just another Sunday evening. Make some more tea.
Get off.
Your friend Webster coming tonight?
He might drop in. Do you know what he is?
Well, I hope he doesn't. Don't think I can take Webster tonight.
I thought you said he was the only person who spoke your language.
Well, so he is. Different dialect, but same language. No, I like him. He's got bite, edge, drive.
Enthusiasm.
You've got it. Well, he's the only one of your friends who's worth tuppence anyway. Surprised you get on with him.
So's he, I think.
Oh, yeah. He's not only got guts, but sensitivity as well. That's about the rarest combination I can think of. None of your friends have got either.
Jimmy, please. Don't go on.
Your friend? There's a shower for you.
Dry up. Let her get on with my trousers.
I don't think I could provoke her. Nothing I could do would provoke her. Not even if I was to drop dead.
Then drop dead.
They're either militant, like Mummy and Daddy, militant, arrogant and full of malice, or vague. She is somewhere between the two. You ever seen her brother? Brother Nigel? Straight back, she'll wander from Sandhurst. Well, you've never heard so many well-bred commonplaces come from beneath the same bowler hat. The platitude from outer space. That's Brother Nigel. Oh, he'll end up in the cabinet one day, make no mistake. Started to rain. Well, that's all it means. This room and the rain. Yeah, that's the little woman's family. Oh, you know, Mummy and Daddy, of course. And don't let the Marquis of Queensberry Manor fool you. They'll kick you in the groin while you're handing your hat to the maid. And as for Nigel and Alison... Nigel and Alison. Yes, well, they're what they sound like. Sycophantic, phlegmatic, and pusillanimous. Looked up that word the other day. One of those words I've never been quite sure of, but always thought I knew.
What was that?
I told you. Pusillanimous. Do you know what it means?
No.
Well, neither did I, really. All this time I've been married to this woman, this monument to non-attachment, and suddenly I discover that there is actually a word that sums her up. It's not just an adjective in the English language to describe her with, it's her name. Pusillanimous. But I haven't told you what it means yet, have I? Don't have to tell her. She knows. In fact, if my pronunciation is at fault, she'll probably wait for a suitably public moment to correct it. Ah! Here it is. I quote. Pusillanimous, adjective. Wanting of firmness of mind, of small courage, having a little mind, mean-spirited, cowardly, timid of mind. From the Latin pusillus, very little, and animus, the mind. That's my wife. That's her, isn't it? Behold the lady pusillanimous.
Cliff?
Thank you, lovely.
She's so clumsy. I watch her do the same things every night. The way she jumps on the bed as if she were stamping on someone's face, draws the curtains back with a great clatter in that casually destructive way of hers. It's like someone launching a battleship. Have you ever noticed how noisy women are, have you? Eh? The way they kick the floor about simply walking over it? Or have you watched them sitting at their dressing tables, dropping their weapons, and banging their bits of boxes and brushes and lipsticks? I've watched her sitting here doing it night after night. When you see a woman in front of her bedroom mirror, you realise what a refined sort of butcher she is. Thank God they don't have many women surgeons. Those primitive hands would have your guts out in no time. Flip. Out it comes like the powder out of its box. Flop. Back it goes like the powder puff on the table.
Oh, stop it.
Ooh, she'd have your guts like hair clips and fluff all over the floor. You've got to be fundamentally insensitive to be as noisy and as clumsy as that. Oh, hell, now the bloody bells have started. Hey, wrap it up with you. Stop ringing those bells. There's somebody going crazy in here.
Stop shouting. You'll have Miss Drury up here in a minute.
Don't give a damn about Miss Drury. That mild old gentlewoman doesn't fool me, even if she takes in you two. She's an old robber. She gets more than enough out of us for this place every week. Anyway, she's probably in church. Swinging on those bloody bells!
Come on now, boy. Be a good boy. I'll take us all out and we'll have a drink.
Not open yet. It's Sunday, remember? Anyway, it's raining.
Well, shall we dance? Do you come here often?
Only in the mating season. Yes, all right. Very funny.
Let me go. Not until you've apologised for being nasty to everyone. Do you think our bosoms will be in or out this year, eh?
Your teeth will be out in a minute if you don't let go.
Look out, for heaven's sake, or you'll have the ironing board over.
Oh, she's hurt. Are you all right?
Well, does it look like it?
She's burnt her arm on the iron.
Darling, I'm sorry.
Get out!
I'm sorry, believe me. You think I did it on purpose?
Clear out my sight.
Go on. Come and sit down. You look a bit white. Are you all right?
Yes,
You're a brave girl.
I don't feel very brave. I really don't, Cliff. I don't think I can take much more. I think I feel rather sick.
Would you like me to get you something?
No, thank you.
Don't upset yourself, lovely.
I don't think I want anything more to do with love. Any more. I can't take it on.
Oh, you're too young to start giving up. Too young and too lovely.
I keep looking back as far as I remember. I can't think what it was to feel young. Really young. Jimmy said the same thing to me the other day. I pretended not to be listening, because I knew that would hurt him, I suppose. And of course he got savage, like tonight. But I knew just what he meant. I suppose it would have been so easy to say, yes, darling, I know just what you mean. I know what you're feeling. It's those easy things that seem to be so impossible with us. Cliff.
Hmm? What is it, lovely?
Nothing.
I said, what is it?
You see, I'm pregnant.
What are you going to do?
I've no idea.
You haven't told him yet.
Not yet.
Why don't you tell him now? After all, he does love you. You don't need me to tell you that.
Can't you see? You'll suspect my motives at once. He never stops telling himself that I know how vulnerable he is. Tonight it might be all right. We'd make love. But in the morning he'd feel hoaxed. As if I was trying to kill him in the worst way of all. He'd watch me growing bigger every day. And I wouldn't dare to look at him.
You may have to face it, lovely.
Jimmy's got his own private morality, as you know. What my mother calls loose. It is pretty free, of course. But it's very harsh, too. You know, it's funny, but we never slept together before we were married.
It certainly is, knowing him.
And afterwards, he actually taunted me with my virginity. He was quite angry about it. As if I'd deceived him in some strange way. He seemed to think that an untouched woman would defile him.
I've never heard you talking like this about him. He'd be quite pleased.
Yes, he would. Do you think he's right?
What about?
Oh, everything.
Well, I suppose he and I think the same about a lot of things because we're alike in some ways. Well, we both come from working people, if you like. Oh, I know some of his mother's relatives are pretty posh, but he hates them as much as he hates yours. I don't quite know why. Anyway, he gets on with me because I'm common. Common as dirt, that's me.
You think I should tell him about the baby?
It'll be all right. You see. Tell him. Oh, there you are, you old devil, you.
How's your arm?
Oh, it's all right. Wasn't much.
She's beautiful, isn't she?
Well, why don't you both get into bed and have done with it?
You know, I think he really means it.
I do. Both look pretty silly slobbering over each other.
I think she's beautiful. And so do you. Only you're too much of a pig to say so.
You're just a sexy little Welshman and you know it.
Mummy and Daddy turn pale and face the east every time they remember she's married to me. But if they saw all this going on, they'd collapse. Have you got a cigarette?
I'll have a look in my handbag.
Cliff gets more like a little mouse every day, doesn't he? He really does look like one. Look at those ears and that face and the little short legs.
That's because he is a mouse.
Eek, eek, I'm a mouse.
Yeah, a randy little mouse.
I'm a mouse, I'm a mouse. I'm a randy little mouse.
That's a Maurice dance.
What?
A Maurice dance. That's a Morris dance strictly for mice.
You stink, you know that, you really do.
Not as bad as you horrible old bear. You're a stinking old bear. Do you hear me?
Oh, let go of my foot, you whimsy little half-wit. Yeah, you're making my stomach heave. If you don't let go, I'll cut off your nasty, great, slimy tail.
I've run out of cigarettes.
Go and get me some cigarettes and stop playing the fool.
Okay.
Here's £0.50. The shop on the corner will be open.
Right, Charles. Don't forget.
Now get the hell out of here.
Hey, Shorty.
What do you want?
Make us a nice pot of tea.
I'll kill you first.
That's my boy.
How's it feeling?
Fine. Wasn't anything.
All this fooling about can get a bit dangerous. I'm sorry.
I know.
I mean it.
There's no need.
I did it on purpose.
Yes.
There's hardly a moment when I'm not watching and wanting you. I've got to hit out somehow. Nearly 4 years of being in the same room with you night and day, and I still can't stop my sweat breaking out when I see you doing something as ordinary as leaning over an ironing board. Trouble is you get used to people. Even their trivialities become indispensable to you. Indispensable and a little mysterious. What are we going to do tonight?
What would you like to do? Drink?
I know what I want to do now.
Well, you'll just have to wait till the proper time.
There's no such thing.
Cliff will be back in a minute.
What did he mean by don't forget?
Something I've been meaning to tell you.
Fond of him, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
He's the only friend I seem to have left now. People go away, you never see them again. I can remember lots of names. Men and women. When I was at school, Watson, Roberts, Davies, Jenny, Madeline, Hugh. There's Hugh's mum, of course. I've almost forgotten her. She's been a good friend to us, if you like. She's even letting me buy the sweet stall off her in my own time. She only bought it for us anyway. She's so fond of you. I can never understand why you're so distant with her.
Jimmy, please no.
You're a very beautiful, beautiful, great-eyed squirrel.
Yes.
Hoarding, nut-munching squirrel. With highly polished, gleaming fur and an ostrich feather for a tail. Ooh, how I envy you.
Well, you're a jolly super bear, too. A really super marvellous bear.
Bears and squirrels are marvellous.
Marvellous and beautiful. Ooh.
What the hell's that?
That's a dance squirrels do when they're happy.
What makes you think you're happy?
Oh, everything just seems all right suddenly, that's all. Jimmy.
Yes.
You know, I told you I had something to tell you.
Well?
didn't get any further than the front door. Miss Drury hadn't gone to church after all. I couldn't get away from her. Is someone on the phone for you, darling?
Oh, the phone. Who on earth is it?
Helen or something.
Helena Charles.
That's it.
Thank you, Cliff.
I thought you were going to make me some tea, Rotter. What's the matter, boyo?
That bitch.
Who?
Helena Charles.
Who is this Helena?
One of her old friends and one of my natural enemies. What could make her ring up? It can't be for anything pleasant.
Wouldn't you say that that handbag was your wife's private property?
Yeah, quite right. Do you know something? Living night and day with another human being has made me predatory and suspicious. When she goes out, I go through everything. Trunks, cases, drawers, bookcase, everything. Why? To see if there's something of me somewhere. A reference to me. I want to know if I'm being betrayed.
You look for trouble, don't you?
It's only because I'm pretty certain of finding it.
Ah! Dad! Look at that! I'm such a fool. This is happening every 5 minutes of the day. She gets letters. Letters from her mother. Letters in which I'm not mentioned at all, because my name is a dirty word. And what does she do?
Oh.
She writes long letters back to Mummy and never mentions me at all, because I'm just a dirty word to her, too.
Well, what did your friend want?
She's at the station. She's coming over.
Ah, I see. She said, can I come over? And you said, my husband Jimmy, if you'll forgive me using such a dirty word, will be delighted to see you. He'll kick your face in.
She's playing with the company at the Hippodrome this week, and she's got no digs. She can't find anywhere to stay.
That I don't believe.
So I said she should come here until she fixes something else. Miss Drury's got a spare room downstairs.
Oh, no, well, why not have her in here?
Did you tell her to bring her armour? Because she's going to need it.
Oh, why don't you shut up?
Oh, my dear wife. You've got so much to learn. I only hope you learn it one day. If only something would happen to you and wake you out of your beauty sleep. If you could have a child and it would die. Let it grow, let a recognizable human face emerge from that little mass of India rubber and wrinkles. Please. If only I could watch you face that. I wonder if you might even become a recognizable human being yourself. But I doubt it. Do you know, I have never known the great pleasure of lovemaking when I didn't desire it myself. It's not that she hasn't her own kind of passion. She has the passion of a python. She just devours me whole every time as if I was some large, overfed rabbit. That's me. That bulge around her navel. If you're wondering what it is, it's me. Me, buried alive down there and going mad, smothered in that peaceful-looking coil. Not a sound, not a flicker from her. She doesn't even rumble a little. Well, you'd think that this indigestible mess would stir up some kind of tremor in those distended, overfed tripes. But not her. You go on sleeping and devouring until there's nothing left of me.
All right?
Of course. I've prepared most of the meals in the last week, you know. And salad is no trouble.
It's been wonderful having someone to help. Another woman, I mean.
I'm enjoying it. Although I don't think I shall ever get used to having to go down to the bathroom every time I want water for something.
It is primitive, isn't it?
Yes, it is rather.
You settled in so easily somehow.
Why shouldn't I?
It's not exactly what you're used to, is it?
And are you used to it?
Everything seems very different here now with you here.
Does it?
Yes. I was on my own before.
Now you've got me. So, you're not sorry you asked me to stay?
Of course not. Did you tell him his tea was ready?
Well, I banged on the door of Cliff's room and yelled. He didn't answer, but he must have heard. I don't know where Cliff is.
God, I wish he'd lose that damn trumpet.
It's almost as if he wanted to kill someone with it. And me in particular. I've never seen such hatred in someone's eyes before. It's slightly horrifying. Horrifying. And oddly exciting.
He had his own jazz band once. That was when he was still a student, before I knew him. I rather think he'd like to start another and give up the stall altogether.
Is Cliff in love with you?
No, I don't think so.
After all, your behaviour together is a little strange by most people's standards, to say the least.
We're simply fond of each other, and there's no more to it than that.
And what about Jimmy? After all, he is your husband. Do you mean to say he actually approves of it?
It isn't easy to explain. It's what he would call a question of allegiances. And he expects you to be pretty literal about them. Not only about himself and all the things he believes in, his present and his future, but his past as well. All the people he admires and loves and has loved. The friends he used to know. People I've never even known. His father, who died years ago. Even the other women he's loved. Do you understand?
Do you?
I've tried to. But I still can't bring myself to feel the way he does about things.
Alison, why did you?
Marry him? There must be about 6 different answers. When the family came back from India, everything seemed, I don't know, unsettled. Anyway, Daddy seemed remote and rather irritable. And Mummy, well, you know Mummy. I didn't have much to worry about. I didn't know I was born, as Jimmy says. I met him at a party. I remember it so clearly. I was almost 21. He'd come on a bicycle, he told me, and there was oil all over his dinner jacket. It had been such a lovely day, and he'd been in the sun. Oh, he looked so young and frail. I knew I was taking on more than I was ever likely to be capable of bearing. But there never seemed to be any choice. Well, the howl of outrage and astonishment went up from the family, and that did it. Whether or no he was in love with me, that did it. He made up his mind to marry me. They did just about everything they could think of to stop us.
Yes, it wasn't a very pleasant business, but you can see their point.
Jimmy went into battle with his axe swinging round his head. Frail, full of fire. I'd never seen anything like it. The old story of the knight in shining armour. Except that his armour didn't really shine very much.
Alison, listen to me. You've got to make up your mind what you're going to do. You're going to have a baby and you have a new responsibility. Before it was different. There was only yourself at stake. But you can't go on living in this way any longer.
I'm so tired. I dread him coming into the room.
Why haven't you told him you're going to have a child?
I don't know.
Listen, darling, you've got to tell him. Either he learns to behave like anyone else and looks after you, or you must get out of this madhouse. This menagerie. He doesn't seem to know what love or anything else means.
You see this bear and this squirrel? Well, that's him and that's me.
Meaning?
The game we play. Bears and squirrels. Squirrels and bears.
I didn't realize he was a bit fey as well as everything else.
Oh, there's nothing fey about Jimmy. It's just all we seem to have left. Or had left. Even bears and squirrels seem to have gone their own ways now.
Since I arrived?
Started during those first months we had alone together. It was the one way of escaping from everything. We could become little furry creatures with little furry brains, full of dumb, uncomplicated affection for each other. A silly symphony for people who couldn't bear the pain of being human beings any longer. And now even they are dead. Poor little silly animals. They're all love and no brains.
Listen to me, Alison. You've got to fight him. Fight or get out. Otherwise he will kill you.
There you are, darling. Hello, Helena. Tea ready?
Yes, dear. It's all ready. Give Jimmy a call, will you?
Right. Hey, you honourable man. Stop that bloody noise and come and get your tea. Going out?
Yes.
Pictures?
No. Church.
Oh, I see. Both of you?
Yes. Are you coming?
Well, I haven't read the papers properly yet. Tea. Let's all have some tea, shall we? Hello, boyo. Come and have your tea. A blinking trumpet. Why don't you stuff it away somewhere?
You like it all right. Anyone who doesn't like rail jazz hasn't any feeling either for music or people.
Rubbish.
Well, that seems to prove my point for you.
Aren't you going to have your tea?
Won't be long.
I thought of a title for a new song today. It's called You Can Quit Hanging Round My Counter, Mildred, because you'll find my position is closed. Good?
Very good.
Thought you'd like it. If I can slip in a religious angle, it should be a big hit. Don't you think so, Helena? I was thinking you might help me there.
Why do you try so hard to be unpleasant?
What's that?
Do you have to be so offensive?
What do you mean now? You think I'm being offensive? You underestimate me. Doesn't she?
I think you're a very tiresome young man.
Oh dear, my wife's friends. Pass Lady Bracknell the cucumber sandwiches, will you? You going out?
That's right.
What, on a Sunday evening in this town? Where on earth are you going?
I'm going out with Helena.
Well, that's not a direction, that's an affliction. Didn't ask you what was the matter with you. I asked you where you were going.
She's going to church.
Doing what? You got out of your mind or something? Oh, you're determined to win her, aren't you, Helena, dear? So it's come to this now. God, how feeble can you get? When I think of what I did, what I endured to get you out...
Oh, yes, we all know what you did for me. You rescued me from the wicked clutches of my family and all my friends. I'd still be rotting away at home if you hadn't ridden up on your charger and carried me off.
Now, the funny thing is, I really did have to ride up on a white charger. Off-white, really. Your mummy locked her up in their 8-bedroom castle, didn't she? There's no limit to what the middle-aged mummy will do in the holy crusade against ruffians like me. Mummy and I took one quick look at each other, and from then on, the age of chivalry was dead. I knew that to protect her innocent young, she wouldn't hesitate to cheat, lie, bully, and blackmail. If he threatened with me, a young man without money, background, or even looks, she'd bellow like a rhinoceros in labor, enough to make every male rhino for miles turn white and pledge himself to celibacy. But even I underestimated her strength. Mummy may look overfed and a bit flabby on the outside, but don't let that well-bred guzzler fool you. Underneath all that, she's armor-plated. She's as rough as a knight in a Bombay brothel, and as tough as a Matelot's arm.
Oh, for heaven's sake, don't be such a bully. You've no right to talk about her mother like that.
I've got every right. That old bitch should be dead.
Well, aren't I right? I said she's an old bitch and should be dead. Now, what's the matter with you? Why don't you lead to a defense?
Jimmy, don't.
Get away! Now, if someone said something like that about me, she'd react soon enough. She'd spring into a well-known lethargy and say nothing. I say, she ought to be dead. By God, those worms will need a good dose of salts the day they get through her. Oh, what a bellyache you've got coming to you, my little wormy ones. Alison's mother's on the way. She will pass away, my friends, leaving a trail of worms gasping for laxatives behind her, from purgatives to purgatory. Is anything the matter, Helena?
I feel rather sick, that's all. Sick with contempt and loathing.
One day, when I'm no longer spending my days running a sweet stall, I may write a book about us all. It's all here. Written in flames a mile high, and it won't be recollected in tranquility either, picking daffodils with Auntie Wordsworth. It'll be recollected in fire and blood. My blood.
She simply said that she's going to church with me. I don't see why that calls for this incredible outburst.
Don't you? Perhaps you're not as clever as I thought.
You think the world's treated you pretty badly, don't you?
Oh, don't try and take his suffering away from him. He'd be lost without it.
I thought this play you're touring in finished up last Saturday week.
That's right.
8 days ago, in fact.
Alison wanted me to stay.
What are you plotting?
Don't you think we've had enough of the heavy villain?
You're going to let yourself be taken in by this saint in Dior's clothing. I'll tell you a simple truth about her. She is a cow. Well, I wouldn't mind that so much, but she seems to have become a sacred cow as well.
You've gone too far, Jimmy. Now dry up.
Oh, let him go on.
You see, I know Helena and her kind so very well. In fact, her kind are everywhere. You can't move for them. They're a romantic lot. They spend their time mostly looking forward to the past, and the only place they can see the light is the Dark Ages. But she's moved long ago into a lovely little cottage of the soul, cut right off from the ugly problems of the 20th century altogether. She'd rather go down to the ecstatic little shed at the bottom of the garden to relieve her sense of guilt. Our Helena is full of ecstatic wind. Aren't you?
It's a pity you've been so far away all this time. I would probably have slapped your face. You've behaved like this ever since I first came.
Helena, have you ever watched somebody die?
If you come any nearer, I will slap your face.
I hope you won't make the mistake of thinking for one moment that I am a gentleman.
I'm not very likely to do that.
See, I've no public school scruples about hitting girls. If you slap my face, by God, I'll lay you out.
You probably would. You're the type.
You bet I'm the type. I'm the type that detests physical violence. Which is why, if I find some woman trying to cash in on what she thinks is my defenseless chivalry by lashing out with her frail little fists, I lash back at her.
Is that meant to be subtle? Or just plain Irish?
I think you and I understand one another all right. But you haven't answered my question. I said, have you watched somebody die?
No, I haven't.
Anyone who's never watched somebody die is suffering from a pretty bad case of virginity. For 12 months, I watched my father dying when I was 10 years old. He'd come back from the war in Spain, you see. And certain God-fearing gentlemen there had made such a mess of him he didn't have long left to live. Everyone knew it. Even I knew it. But you see, I was the only one who cared. His family were embarrassed by the whole business. Embarrassed and irritated. As for my mother, all she could think about was the fact that she'd allied herself to a man who seemed to be on the wrong side in all things. We all of us waited for him to die. Family sent him a check every month, hoped he'd get on with it quietly without too much vulgar fuss. My mother looked after him without complaining, and that was about all. Perhaps she pitied him. I suppose she was capable of that. But I was the only one who cared. He would talk to me for hours, pouring out all that was left of his life to one lonely, bewildered little boy
who could barely understand half of what he said. You see, I learned at an early age what it was to be angry. Angry and helpless. And I can never forget it. I knew more about love, betrayal, and death when I was 10 years old than you will probably ever know all your life.
Time we went.
Yes.
I'll just get my things together. I'll see you downstairs, Alison.
Doesn't it matter to you what people do to me? What are you trying to do to me? I've given you just everything. But doesn't that mean anything to you? You Judas! You phlegm! She's taking you with her, and you're so bloody feeble you let her do it.
All I want is a little peace.
Peace! God, she wants peace! My heart is so full I feel ill. I'm gone to sleep. One of us is crazy. One of us is mean and stupid and crazy. Which is it? Is it me? Is it me? Standing here like an hysterical girl, hardly able to get my words out? Or is it her? Sitting there, putting on her shoes to go out with that? Perhaps one day you may want to come back. I shall wait for that day. I want to stand up in your tears and splash about in them and sing. I want to be there when you grovel. I want to be there. I want to watch it. I want the front seat. I want to see your face rubbed in the mud. That's all I can hope for. There's nothing else I want any longer.
Well, there's a phone call for you.
Oh, well, it can't be anything good, can it?
Already.
Yes, I think so.
You feel all right, don't you?
Yes.
Well, what's he been raving on about now? Oh, it doesn't matter. He makes me want to claw his hair out by the roots. These men. And all the time, you just sit there and do nothing.
That's right, I just sit here.
What's the matter with you? What sort of man are you?
I'm not the district commissioner, you know. Listen, Helena, I don't feel like Jimmy does about you, but I'm not exactly on your side either. And since you've been here, everything's certainly been worse than it's ever been. This has always been a battlefield, but I'm pretty certain that if I hadn't been here, everything would have been over between these two long ago. I love these two people very much. And I pity all of us.
Are you including me in that? Oh, I don't understand him, you, or any of it. All I know is that none of you seems to know how to behave in a decent, civilized way. Listen, Alison. I sent your father a wire.
Oh?
I thought it would be better than trying to explain the situation over the phone. I asked him to come up and fetch you home tomorrow. You didn't mind, did you?
No, I don't mind. Thank you.
And you will go when he comes for you?
Yes, I'll go.
I expect he'll drive up. He should be here about tea time. It'll give you plenty of time to get your things together. And perhaps after you've gone, Jimmy will come to his senses and face up to things.
Who's on the phone?
I didn't catch it properly. It rang after I'd sent the wire off. Sister somebody, I think.
Must have been a hospital or something. Well, we'll be late if we don't hurry.
All right, boyo.
Sue's mum. She's had a stroke.
I'm sorry.
How bad is it?
Didn't say much. But I think she's dying.
Oh, dear.
I'm sorry. I really am.
Anything I can do?
London train goes in half an hour. You better order me a taxi.
Right. Do you want me to come with you, boy?
No, thanks. I'm sure you hardly knew her. Not for you to go. You may not even remember me, for all I know.
Okay.
I remember the first time I showed her your photograph. Just after we were married. She looked at it and the tears just welled up in her eyes and she said, "But she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful." She kept repeating it, as if she couldn't believe it. Sounds a bit simple and sentimental when you repeat it. But it's pure gold the way she said it. She got a kick out of you, if you like she did out of everything else. You're coming with me, aren't you? I need you to come with me.
Let's go, Helena.
I'm afraid it's all beyond me. I suppose it always will be. As for Jimmy, he just speaks a different language from any of us. Where did you say he'd gone?
He's gone to see Mrs. Tanner.
Who?
Hugh Tanner's mother.
Oh, I see.
She's been taken ill. A stroke. Hugh's abroad, as you know, and Jimmy's gone to London to see her.
Didn't she start him off in this sweet stall business?
Yes.
Well, what's she like?
Rather ordinary. What Jimmy insists on calling working class. Jimmy and she are very fond of each other.
Well, who's looking after the sweet stall?
Cliff. He should be in soon.
Oh, yes, of course, Cliff. Does he live here too?
Yes, his room is just across the landing.
Sweet stall. It does seem an extraordinary thing for an educated young man to be occupying himself with.
Oh, he's tried so many things. Journalism, advertising, even vacuum cleaners for a few weeks. Seems to have been as happy doing this as anything else.
I've often wondered what it was like. Where you were living, I mean. You didn't tell us very much in your letters.
There wasn't a great deal to tell you. There's not much of a social life here.
I know what you mean. You were afraid of being disloyal to your husband.
Disloyal? He thought it was high treason of me to write to at all.
He really does hate us, doesn't he?
Oh, yes. Don't have any doubts about that. He hates all of us.
It was all so unfortunate and unnecessary. I'm afraid I can't help feeling that he must have had a certain amount of right on his side.
Right on his side?
Well, it's a little late to admit it, I know, but your mother and I weren't entirely free from blame. I've never said anything, but I've always believed that she went too far over Jimmy. She seemed to have made up her mind that if he was going to marry you, he must be a criminal at the very least.
I suppose she was trying to protect me, in a rather heavy-handed way, admittedly. It wasn't your fault.
Oh, I don't know. We were all to blame in our different ways. Perhaps you and I were the ones most to blame.
You and I?
I think you take after me a little, my dear. You like to sit on the fence because it's comfortable and more peaceful.
Sitting on the fence? I married him, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Do you know what he said about Mummy? He said she was an overfed, overprivileged old bitch. A good blowout for the worms was his expression, I think.
I see. And what does he say about me?
Oh, he doesn't seem to mind you so much. In fact, I think he rather likes you. He likes you because he can feel sorry for you. Poor old Daddy, just one of those sturdy old plants left over from the Edwardian wilderness that can't understand why the sun isn't shining anymore.
He has quite a turn of phrase, hasn't he? But why should he have married you feeling as he did about everything?
That is the famous American question. You know, the $64 one. Perhaps it was revenge.
Huh?
Oh, yes. Some people do actually marry for revenge. People like Jimmy, anyway.
But why you, my daughter? No. Perhaps Jimmy is right. Perhaps I am what was it, an old plant left over from the Edwardian wilderness? And I can't understand why the sun isn't shining anymore. Well, you can see what he means, can't you? It was March 1914 when I left England. And apart from leaves every 10 years or so, I didn't see much of my own country until we all came back in 47. Oh, I knew things had changed, of course, but it seemed very unreal to me out there. The England I remembered was the one I left in 1914, and I was happy to go on remembering it that way. Besides, I had the Maharaja's army to command. That was my world, and I loved it, all of it. At the time, it looked like going on forever. When I think of it now, it seems like a dream. If only it could have gone on forever. I think the last day the sun shone was when the dirty little train steamed out of that crowded, suffocating Indian station and the battalion band playing for all it was worth. I knew in my heart it was all over then. Everything.
You're hurt because everything has changed. Jimmy is hurt because everything is the same. And neither of you can face it. Something's gone wrong somewhere, hasn't it?
It looks like it, my dear. What's that?
Oh, only a toy. A squirrel. I shan't be needing it.
This is a big step you're taking. Made up your mind to come back with me. Is that really what you want?
Oh, I'm sorry. I came in to see if I could help you pack, Alison.
Already?
Have you got everything?
Well, no, but Cliff can send the rest on sometime, I expect. He should have been back by now. Of course he'd had to put the stall away on his own today.
Well, I'd better put this in the car then. May as well get along. Well, what about your case, Helena? If you care to tell me where it is, I'll take it down with this one.
I'm afraid I shan't be coming tonight.
Aren't you coming with us?
I'd like to, but the fact is I have an appointment tomorrow in Birmingham. About a job. They've just sent me a script. It's rather important, and I don't want to miss it, so it looks as though I shall have to stay here tonight.
Oh, I see. Hello, Cliff.
Hello there.
Daddy, this is Cliff.
Oh, how do you do, Cliff?
How do you do, sir?
Well, I'd better put this in the car, hadn't I? Don't be long, Alison. Goodbye, Helena. I expect we shall be seeing you again soon if you're not busy.
Oh, yes. I shall be back in a day or two.
Well, then. Goodbye, Cliff.
Goodbye, sir. You're really going then?
Really going?
I should think Jimmy will be back pretty soon. You won't wait.
No, Cliff.
Who's going to tell him?
I can tell him. That is, if I'm here when he comes back.
You'll be here. Don't you think you ought to tell him yourself, darling? Bit conventional, isn't it?
I'm a conventional girl. I'll write to you later.
Goodbye, lovely.
Look after him.
We'll keep the old nut house going somehow.
See you soon.
Yes.
Would you like me to make you some tea?
No thanks.
I think I might have some myself, if you don't mind.
So you're staying?
Just for tonight. Do you object?
Nothing to do with me. Of course, he may not be back until later on.
Aren't you staying?
No, I'm not. There was a train in from London about 5 minutes ago, and just in case he may have been on it, I'm going out.
Well, don't you think you ought to be here when he comes?
I've had a hard day, and I don't think I want to see anyone hurt until I've had something to eat first, and perhaps a few drinks as well. Here, you give the letter to him. He's all yours. And I hope he rams it up your nostrils.
Hello there.
Hello, bastard nearly ran me down in his car. Now, if he'd killed me, that really would have been ironical. And how right and fitting that my wife should have been a passenger. A passenger? What's the matter with everybody? Cliff practically walked into me coming out of the house, belted up the other way and pretended not to see me. You're the only one who's not afraid to stay.
Yeah. This is for you.
Oh, it's one of those, is it? Did you write this for her? My dear, I must get away. I don't suppose you will understand, but please try. I need peace so desperately, and at the moment I'm willing to sacrifice everything just for that. I don't know what's going to happen to us. I know you will be feeling wretched and bitter, but try to be a little patient with me. I shall always have a deep, loving need of you. Alice. Oh, how could she be so bloody wet? Deep, loving need? Deep, loving need? Never thought she was capable of being as phony as that. What's that line from one of those plays you've been in? What are you doing here, anyway? You better keep out of my way if you don't want your head kicked in.
If you'll stop thinking about yourself for one moment, I'll tell you something I think you ought to know. Your wife is going to have a baby. Well, doesn't that mean anything, even to you?
All right, yes. I'm surprised, give you that. Tell me, did you honestly expect me to go soggy at the knees and collapse with remorse? Listen, if you'll stop breathing your female wisdom all over me, I'll tell you something. I don't care. I don't care if she is going to have a baby, and I don't care if it has 2 heads. Did I disgust you? Well, go on. Slap my face. For 11 hours, I have been watching someone I love very much going through the sordid process of dying. She was alone, and I was the only one with her. And when I have to walk behind that coffin on Thursday, I'll be on my own again. Because that bitch won't even send her a bunch of flowers. I know. And you think I should be overcome with awe because that cruel, stupid girl is going to have a baby? Well, the performance is over. Now leave me alone and get out, you evil-minded little virgin. Why do I spend half of Sunday reading the papers?
That pipe, it stinks. Do you know that?
So do you, but I'm not singing an aria about it. Dirty ones get more wet round the mouth, and the posh ones are more pompous than ever. Does my pipe bother you?
like it.
There you are. Helena likes it.
Hmm.
Have you read about the grotesque and evil practices going on in the Midlands?
Read about the what?
Grotesque and evil practices going on in the Midlands.
No, what about them?
Seems we don't know the old place. It's all in here. Startling revelations this week. Pictures too. Reconstructions of midnight invocations to the Coptic goddess of fertility.
That sounds madly depraved.
Rather us, isn't it?
I shouldn't have thought you needed to make invocations to the Coptic, whatever she is.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, we don't want to ask for trouble, do we? Let's see the other posh one.
Haven't finished yet.
Well, hurry up. What are we going to do tonight? Are you going to church?
No, I don't think so. Unless you want to.
Do I detect a growing satanic glint in her eyes lately? Do you think it's living in sin with me that does it? Do you feel very sinful, my dear?
What?
Do you feel sin crawling out of your ears like stored up wax or something? Or are you wondering whether I'm joking or not? Perhaps I ought to wear a red nose and a funny hat. Just curious, that's all.
Oh, change the record, old boy, or pipe down.
Go on, go make some tea. We'll decide what we're going to do.
Make some yourself.
Hey, you rough bastard!
Hey, get off! Oh. Hey, look what you're doing. You're ripping my shirt. Get off!
Well, what do you want to wear a shirt for? Tough character like you. Now go and make me some tea.
Oh, the only clean one I got. You big oaf. Look, it's filthy.
Yes, it is. He's stronger than he looks. If you'd like to take it off now, I'll wash it through for you. It'll be dry by the time we want to go out. What's the matter, Cliff?
Oh, I'll be all right.
Give it to her. Quit moaning.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Helena.
Right. I won't be a minute with it.
You look like Marlon Brando or something. You don't care for Helena, do you?
You didn't seem very keen yourself once. Oh, it's not the same, is it?
No, of course it's not the same, you idiot. Never is. Today's meal is always different from yesterday's, and the last woman isn't the same as the one before. If you can't accept that, you're going to be pretty unhappy, my boy.
Jimmy, I don't think I shall stay here much longer.
Huh? Why not?
Oh, I don't know. I just thought of trying somewhere different. I know, the sweet stall's all right, but I think I'd like to try something else. You're highly educated. It suits you. But I think I need something a bit better.
Yeah, just as you like. Any idea what you're going to do?
Not much.
Well, that sounds like you all right. Shouldn't think you'd last 5 minutes without me to explain the score to you.
Don't suppose so.
Such a scruffy little beast. I'll bet some respectable little madam from Pinner or Guildford gobbles you up in 6 months. She'll marry you, send you out to work, and you'll end up as clean as a new pin.
Yes, I'm stupid enough for that, too.
I seem to spend my life saying goodbye.
My feet hurt.
Try washing your socks. It's a funny thing. You've been loyal, generous, and a good friend. I'm quite prepared to see you wander off, find a new home, and make out on your own. And all because of something I want from that girl downstairs. Something I know in my heart she's incapable of giving. You're worth half a dozen Helenas to me or to anyone. And if you were in my place, you'd do the same thing, right?
Right.
Why? Why do we let these women bleed us to death? Have you ever had a letter, and on it, Frank, please give your blood generously? Well, the Postmaster General does that on behalf of all the women of the world. I suppose people of our generation aren't able to die for good causes any longer. We had all that done for us in the 30s and the 40s when we were still kids. There aren't any good, brave causes left. If the Big Bang does come and we all get killed off, it won't be in aid of the old-fashioned grand design. It'll just be for the brave new nothing very much, thank you. About as pointless and inglorious as stepping in front of a bus. Nothing left for it, my boy, but to let yourself be butchered by the women.
Here you are, Cliff.
Oh, thanks, Helena, very much. That's decent of you.
Not at all. I should try it over the gas. The fire in your room would be better. There won't be much room for it over that stove.
Right, I will.
Hey, and hurry up about it, stupid. We'll all go out and have a drink soon. Okay?
Okay.
Darling, I'm sick of seeing you behind that damned ironing board.
Sorry.
Get so glammed up and hit the town.
Is anything wrong?
Cliff tells me he's leaving us.
I know, he told me last night.
Did he? I always seem to be at the end of the queue when they're passing information out.
I'm sorry he's going.
Yes. So am I. He's a sloppy, irritating bastard, but he's got a big heart. You can forgive somebody almost anything for that. Come here. Right from that first night, you have always put out your hand to me first, as if you expected nothing, or worse than nothing, and didn't care. You made a good enemy, didn't you? What they call a worthy opponent.
I love you.
I think perhaps you do. Yes, I think perhaps you do. Perhaps it means something to lie with your victorious general in your arms. Especially when he's heartily sick of the whole campaign, tired out, hungry and dry. You stood up and came out to meet me. Oh, Helena, don't let anything go wrong.
Oh, my darling.
Either you're with me or against me.
I've always wanted you.
Always.
Put all that junk away and we'll get out, we'll get pleasantly, joyfully tiddly, and gaze at each other tenderly and lecherously in the builder's arms. And then we'll come back here and I'll make such love to you, you'll not care about anything else at all.
I'll just change out of your old shirt.
Right. I'll hurry up the little man.
Hello.
Friend of yours to see you, Helena.
Here. Have this. Usually seems to help.
Thanks.
Are you sure you feel all right now?
It was just... oh, everything. It's my own fault entirely. I must be mad coming here like this. I'm sorry, Helena.
Why should you be sorry? You of all people.
Because it was unfair and cruel of me to come back. So many times I've just managed to stop myself coming here, right at the last moment. I couldn't even believe that this place existed anymore. But once I got here, there was nothing I could do. I had to convince myself that everything I remembered about this place had really happened to me once. Oh, why am I here? You must all wish me 1,000 miles away.
I don't wish anything of the kind. You've more right to be here than I.
Oh, Helena, don't bring out the book of rules.
You are his wife, aren't you? Whatever I have done, I've never been able to forget that fact. You have all the rights.
Helena, even I gave up believing in the divine rights of marriage long ago. Even before I met Jimmy. They've got something different now. Constitutional monarchy. You are where you are by consent. If you start trying any strong-arm stuff, you're out. And I'm out.
Is that something you learnt from him?
Oh, don't make me feel like a blackmailer or something, please. I've done something foolish and rather vulgar in coming here tonight. I regret it. and I detest myself for doing it. But I did not come here in order to gain anything. Whatever it was, hysteria or just macabre curiosity, I had certainly no intention of making any kind of breach between you and Jimmy. You must believe that.
Oh, I believe it all right. That's why everything seems more wrong and terrible than ever. I feel so ashamed.
You talk as though he was something you'd swindle me out of.
And you talk as if he were a book, or something you'd pass around to anyone who happens to want it for 5 minutes.
What's the matter with you?
You sound as though you were quoting him all the time. I thought you told me once you couldn't bring yourself to believe in him.
I don't think I ever believed in your way either.
At least I still believe in right and wrong. Not even the months in this madhouse have stopped me doing that. Even though everything I've done is wrong, at least I've known it was wrong.
You loved him, didn't you? That's what you wrote and told me.
And it was true.
It was pretty difficult to believe at the time. I couldn't understand it.
There doesn't seem much point in trying to explain everything, does there?
Not really.
Do you know, I've discovered what is wrong with Jimmy. It's very simple, really. He was born out of his time.
Yes, I know.
There's no place for people like that any longer. That's why he's so futile. He doesn't know where he is or where he's going. He'll never do anything, and he'll never amount to anything.
I suppose he's what you'd call an eminent Victorian. Slightly comic, in a way.
Alison, it's all over between Jimmy and me. I've got to get out. No, listen to me. When I saw you standing there tonight, I knew it was all utterly wrong. I believe in good and evil. And by everything I have ever believed in or wanted, what I have been doing is wrong and evil.
Helena, you're not going to leave him.
Yes, I am. Oh, I'm not stepping aside to let you come back. You can do what you like. Frankly, I think you'd be a fool, but that's your own business. I think I've given you enough advice.
But he'll have no one.
He'll find somebody. He'll probably hold court here like one of the Renaissance popes. Oh, I know I'm throwing the book of rules at you, as you call it, but believe me, you're never going to be happy without it. I tried throwing it away all these months, but I know now it just doesn't work. When you came in that door, ill and tired and hurt, it was all over for me. You see, I didn't know about the baby. It was such a shock. It's like a judgment on us.
I lost the child. It's a simple fact. There's no judgment, there's no blame.
Maybe not, but I feel it just the same.
But don't you see, it isn't logical.
Oh, no, it isn't. But I know it's right.
Helena, you mustn't leave him. He needs you.
Do you think so?
Maybe you're not the right one for him. We're neither of us right.
Oh, why doesn't you stop that damn noise? Please, will you stop that? I can't think. Jimmy, I want to speak to you.
Do your friends go with you?
Oh, don't be such an idiot and come in here.
He doesn't want to see me.
Stay where you are and don't be silly. I'm sorry. It won't be very pleasant, but I've made up my mind to go and I've got to tell him now.
Is this another of your dark plots, Helena? Hadn't she better sit down? She looks a bit ghastly.
Oh, it's not very surprising, is it? She's been very ill.
You don't have to draw a diagram for me. I can see what's happened to her.
Doesn't it mean anything to you?
I don't exactly relish the idea of anyone being ill or in pain. It's my child too, you know. But it isn't my first loss.
It was mine.
What are you looking so solemn about, Helena? What's she doing here?
I'm sorry.
Don't, please. Can't you see the condition she's in? She's done nothing. She said nothing. None of it's her fault.
What isn't her fault?
Jimmy, I don't want a brawl, so please.
Yes, let's hear it, shall we?
Very well. I'm going downstairs to pack my things. If I hurry, I shall just catch the 7:15 to London. This is not Alison's doing. You must understand that. It's my own decision entirely. In fact, she's just been trying to talk me out of it. It's just that suddenly tonight I see what I've really known all along. That you can't be happy when what you're doing is wrong or is hurting someone else. I suppose it could never have worked anyway. But I do love you, Jimmy. Alison, you probably won't feel up to making the journey again tonight, but we can fix you up in a hotel before I go. There's about half an hour. I'll just make it.
They all want to escape from the pain of being alive. And most of all, from love. I always knew something like this would turn up, some problem, like an ill wife. And it would be too much for those delicate, hot-house feelings of yours, Helena. It's no good trying to fool yourself about love. You can't fall into it like a soft job without dirtying up your hands. Here, the makeup bag. It takes muscle and guts. And if you can't bear the thought of messing up your nice, clean soul, you better give up the whole idea of life and become a saint. Because you'll never make it as a human being. It's either this world or the next. Oh, no! Down!
I'm sorry, I'll go now.
They never sent any flowers to the funeral? Not a little bunch of flowers? You had to deny me that too, didn't you? The injustice of it all is almost perfect. The wrong people going hungry, wrong people being loved, the wrong people dying. Was I really wrong to believe that there's a kind of burning virility of mind and spirit that looks for something as powerful as itself? The heaviest, strongest creatures in this world seem to be the loneliest, like the old bear, following his own breath in the dark forest. There's no warm pack, no herd to comfort him. That voice that cries out doesn't have to be a weakling's, does it? Do you remember that first night I saw you at that grisly party? You didn't really notice me, but I was watching you all the evening. You seemed to have a wonderful relaxation of spirit. I knew that was what I wanted. Got to be really brawny to have that kind of strength. The strength to relax. It was only after we were married that I discovered that it wasn't relaxation at all. In order to relax, you first got to sweat your guts out. And as far as you were concerned, you'd never had a hair out of place or a bead of sweat anywhere. It may be a lost cause, but I thought, if you loved me, it needn't matter.
It does matter. I was wrong. I was wrong. I don't want to be neutral. I don't want to be a saint. I want to be a lost cause. I want to be corrupt and futile. Don't you understand? It's gone. It's gone. That helpless human being inside my body. I thought it was so safe and secure in there. Nothing could take it from me. It was mine. My responsibility. But it's lost. All I wanted was to die. I never knew what it was like. I didn't know it could be like that. I was in pain, and all I could think of was you, and what I'd lost. I thought, if only he could see me now. So stupid and ugly and ridiculous. This is what he's been longing for me to feel. This is what he wants to splash about in. I lost him his child and any others I might have had. What does it matter? This is what he wanted from me. Don't you see? I'm in the mud at last. I'm grovelling. I'm crawling. Oh, God.
Don't, please don't. I can't. You're all right. You're all right now. Please. We'll be together in our bear's cave and our squirrel's dray, and we'll live on honey and nuts, lots and lots of nuts, and we'll sing songs about ourselves, about warm trees and snug caves and lying in the sun. And you'll keep those big eyes on my fur, help me keep my claws in order, because I'm a bit of a soppy, scruffy sort of a bear. And I'll see that you keep that sleek, bushy tail glistening as it should, because you're a very beautiful squirrel. But you're none too bright either, so we've got to be careful. There are cruel steel traps lying about everywhere, just waiting for rather mad, slightly satanic, and very timid little animals. Right?
Right.
Poor squirrels.
Poor bears. Oh, poor bears.
In Look Back in Anger by John Osborne, Nicholas Gex played Jimmy, Alan Lewis, Cliff, Susan Penhaligon, Alison, Suzanne Burtish, Helena, and Cyril Luckham, Colonel Redfern. The musical advisor was Richard Holmes, and the trumpet was played by Bobby Harrison. Look Back in Anger was directed by Glyn Dearman.
The classic serial continues its series of dramatisations of the Barchester novels of Anthony Trollope tomorrow, with a 3-episode dramatisation of the third book in the series, Dr. Thorne. Dr. Thorne is a popular figure in Barchester, and he lives with his young niece, Mary, whose parentage is a little obscure. This suddenly becomes rather more of an issue when she's courted by the young son and heir of the local squire. Episode 1 of our new classic serial, The Barchester Chronicles, is tomorrow afternoon at 2:30.